So we mentioned in the introduction we have a mentor on a mission. So I am really delighted to welcome onto the How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry podcast, Maddi Cook. Welcome along to How to Cut It, Maddi.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits to be chatting with you. So happy.
Well, equally, I am chuffed to bits to be chatting to you, because there are lots of people that have been on my radar, people that I've wanted to really bring onto the show, and you've certainly been one of them, Maddi. You've been impressing me for so long, certainly over lockdown as well. You know, you must have seen things blow up your end in terms of your mentoring and coaching.
Yeah, it was not what I expected at all. A lot of my career is many little happy accidents and sliding doors and going, oh, let me try this, see what happens. And a very, very, very kind of different way of working in lockdown, which luckily able to help a bunch of people, which was nice.
We were just having a little conversation beforehand, weren't we, Maddi? Yeah. And I was complimenting you on your hair. So if anybody wants to check out Maddis Hair, go and have a look at the YouTube. She's got a wicked mullet going on. She looks incredibly well as well. But you're saying, actually, Maddi, you're going in for a bit of a back hop.
I am indeed, So this will be coming to you from beyond the op, because I'm in on Saturday, so very soon. I'm going to have a lumbar decompression. I've had a really bad back for quite a long time, so I'll be doing backflips and crabs and all sorts when you see us next.
Actually, what really come over that, and we're going to go into a lot more deeper conversation than Maddie's back, but it's quite a fair point. But the wear and tear of being a taller lady in hairdressing. I'm 6'4", and my posture is hideous. My physio was like, he took a photo of me, showed me it, and I looked like a quaver, and I thought I was being stood up going straight. It's really taxing, and honestly my urge to anyone who's anywhere newer in the industry is, for the love of God, take care of yourself. Like your knees, your wrists, your back, get physio. Pensions, savings, rainy day, all of this comes back to, like, we're just humans, aren't we? And what we do is like a really, really physical job, so we have to take right good care of ourselves. I think that's really cool what you just said there, preparing for these days, because I think so many of us are just caught up in the moment, and tomorrow will never come. We're ever with a young industry, so pensions, hey,
I know it's boring, and it's like, I don't really know, like, I'm a hairdresser, I don't know, but pensions and stuff like that, but there is many clever people, expert people whose job it is to help you with stuff like that. So that's a big learn for me in the last few years, is like, outsource things, give things to people who know what they're doing, and there's
an idea for a boring topic in the future. I might have to bring a pension expert.
I've got one. She's fabulous.
Well, you might have to point her our direction, and because actually those are massive things, and certainly in the world of the rise of the independent hairdresser as well, where they're going to have to think about these things. But look, so much to talk about, and I'm particularly interested about charging properly today, Maddi, because I know that's something you're big on. But I said it earlier, mentor on a mission, and you want to teach our industry really stuff that to stop them whinging and start thinking like business owners. What do you mean by this?
It's it is a mission, because I've literally got to unpick generations and generations of like absolute BS and like total, let's face it, rubbish in the way that we do things, stuff that's so unhelpful, yet we like just take as fact because other people have done it. I call it like the done thing. I'm just like, the done thing is terrible. Like the way we do things, it just doesn't work. So I always say, like, I have a lot to teach, but I have so much to unteach. I think that's like half the battle, is to get people to just stop doing what everyone before them's done. And that's not easy. That's quite a tough thing to do.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
So for example, like if for the people who listen to this, if I said to you, right, in any of your education that you've done, has anyone ever taught you how to work out prices? The answer is probably a resounding no. I've been trained, like hair extensions is like my specialty, or it was, because I've just retired a couple of weeks ago. I've trained about 8 times in 11 years. I've trained as a hairdresser as well, and I've never ever been taught like properly how to work out prices. And I run free education, so I've done that with about 9,000 people. So when I'm saying the industry, I mean like real people who have asked, not just like this idea that's like in my head. So I have a lot of like actual kind of data. And I get a resounding no, or the yeses that I get are like, oh, I was given like an RRP, or I was told you need to base it on your area, or that you need to start off really cheap, or that, like, God forbid you like live in the north, you peasants, you need to be charging like really low prices, and London's this, and mobile is low, and salons are high, and all this. So we never taught that. And I get it from an educator's perspective. Like, there's so much of the skill you need to teach. Like, you can't be sat there going, oh, I'm going to teach you taxes and accounts and pricing. But taxes and accounts can, like, hang on. We don't need to really know about them for quite a bit. But pricing, like, you need to decide really quickly, because you need to decide that before you go and, like, charge a real person. So you have a group, I have a group, we're in probably a bunch of groups. And what do we say, like, all the time constantly is, hi guys, how much are you all charging for this? Or how much are you putting up by after lockdown? Are you charging a COVID fee? What do you charge for Olaplex? What do you charge? Here's a picture. What would you all charge for it? And we see that over and over and over again. I get tagged in this, so I see this probably like 20, 30 times a day, more than most people do. And if you look in the comments, it's the same comments. Every single time it's like, oh, I charge this, but I'm in such a place. Or have a look at what the people nearest you are. The words going rate come up a lot. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what's a going rate? Who decided that? Like, who? When?
Totally it doesn't give the image that we really are trying to give, does it? Yeah, what's your going rate?
Yeah, like, it's like going, what's your going rate for a car? And it's like, do you want like a Bugatti or like a Naka? Like, I don't know. You can pay a very different amount for things. So sadly, because we have this like vacuum, we have this gap in the knowledge, the newer people join the industry, they see the like old hat people, the like OGs, the people who've been around a long time, telling them, oh yeah, this is what we do here. We have a going rate. We're lower if we're mobile. We're higher if we're in a salon. Village and city has an impact. Some people just straight up say, look at the 10 people around you and base it on that. And there's this fear of like, God forbid you go out of this going rate and price yourself out of the market, as if such a thing can't exist as well. So just really quickly we go, oh cool, 50 people told me this. That must be true. They've all been around for a bit. That's what it is. And then that's what we do. And then when the next people come and ask the question, we go, aha, I have the answer to this. It's this, this, and this. So this is what my biggest problem is. I think the biggest problem in the industry, I know we need like regulations, a whole bunch of stuff, but this causes so many problems. This is why people couldn't even manage like a week in lockdown, because there was just no money. People live from week to week. People are making less than a minimum wage. There's obviously a whole bunch of work that we do that isn't the work we do with clients as well. So we're in this industry that's amazing and full of like the most bright and creative and just genius, wonderful people who are giving themselves like literally some of the worst conditions. Like you get better down at Aldi because you get paid like 11 quid an hour. You'd clock off at 5 o'clock, not have to think about anything. You wouldn't have to man their Facebook and, do their stock takes and stuff after hours. They'd pay your pension, you'd get a lunch, and you come into work the next day. Like, we give ourselves like hideous conditions. But it's because no one teaches us this. So it's like, I don't want people to go, oh my God, I'm an idiot, this is my fault. Like, it's not. It's just how the industry's just built for so many years, because there's not that much education on it. So that's me. That's my mission.
Love that. Thank you, Maddie, for sharing. I'm going to go deeper into that, actually. There's maybe just get a few... some of your thoughts on how people can work out their pricing and that eventually lead them to your group and what you're all about, and helping people that want to go in deeper. But let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to Maddie, because I know you so well, but I don't know you so well. It's like you told me you're 6 foot. It's like, what? But I know you so well online. And I kind of know that you do this amazing stuff, but you are a hairdresser, so you speak from the front line. You're in the trenches. You've been in the trenches. You've got the back scars to show for that come Saturday. So you first started out, you trained in hair extensions in 2010. So doesn't seem ages ago to me, but
11 years.
That's where you started.
I've got like an 11-year-old baby. It'd be going to secondary school now if it was a person. So
wow.
Yeah, that's when you put it in perspective. But yeah, I did everything a bit back to front. So I trained in extensions first. I'm a northerner and I am highly unqualified. I don't have a degree. I went to college very briefly and left. I don't really like authority, so I didn't really stick in with that. And because of that, I worked in call centres, as we do. There's a whole bunch of them up here. People seem to quite like our accents, so that's what the work is you go to here if you don't have any other skills. So I was there having a terrible time, hated it, getting bossed around. It was really salesy and pushy, and it was for a bank, and it was just incredibly boring. And I got hair extensions at the time, and I just happened to get an email one day from the woman who did mine. And she was like, oh, I'm training down in Leeds. It's like 750 quid or something like that. Is this the new career for you? And I'm so bloody glad I opened that email. Like, if I can't even imagine what life would have been like if I didn't. So I did, went to Leeds, put it on a credit card, didn't have any money, so paid it that way. Was told by many, many people it was a terrible idea, including my lovely dad, who gave me an apology about 8 years later. And he said, he went, "Oh, I really owe you an apology." I said, "Oh, why?" "Yeah, I told you that was a terrible idea. It was a fad. You'd never make your money back." He's like, "Yeah, you've done okay. Like, don't listen to me." I'm glad you don't listen to me quite a lot. So, yeah, long story short, that took off. Then I thought, maybe I should learn hairdressing just as a means to, like, have a better understanding and, like, the theory and stuff like that. So I did that. As much as I enjoyed doing hairdressing, I just always, my time was always taken back towards hair extensions, and it's for me, it's always been more profitable for the hours that it would take me.
Yeah, you know what? As you're telling me that, Maddie, and somebody who's, teaches about charging properly, and that really struck a chord to me, because I kind of thought there's good money in hair extensions. We all know that as, hair professionals.
For the time it takes. So, like, for example, I would be doing, like, a full head in, like, 2 hours 45, maybe give myself 3 hours for, like, turnaround and prep and stuff. It would take me longer to do, like, a full head of foils. And then I see people charging, like, 60 quid for a full head of foils. What out of that profit is what, like 50, 40 quid for 3 hours? Or I could be doing extensions and charging like 2-3 times that. Don't get me wrong, I charged like hideously in the beginning, so I was making like a tenner an hour or something, because I had that real mentality of like, I can't charge that much, no one has any money, all the stuff that I now help like other people to unpack a bit. Yes, I did the hairdressing. I've done a bunch of other training. I've done like hair loss, hair replacement, integration, bits and bobs like that, and opened. Oh yeah, I was mobile at the beginning. I think this is where my kind of thing is from, is that I've done everything in the industry, so I have quite a good gauge on, like, I worked mobile, I rented a space, I've owned a salon, I've had employees, I've had renters, I've had a partner, I've been VAT registered, not VAT registered, I've done education, so I have like quite a good like 360 of I've been there.
There's quite a few layers there, isn't there? There's lots there, but that is actually what makes us and gives us that wisdom and knowledge that we have learned by our own mistakes. Because, as anybody would say, that's where we learn most. And you say you had your own salon, and it doesn't really matter too much in learning, but I'm fascinated by this, because in April 2014, the ceiling of your salon collapsed with all of you in it, including your clients.
Yes, so that was a salon that I rented a space in. So that I'd stopped being mobile I was mobile, and then I had what I call my proper job, my last proper job, where I met my husband, and I left that job because I was like, Jesus, I'm so busy doing hair. So I left that in the October time the year before. I went and rented a space in this salon. So I'd only been there like 6-7 months, and it was a Friday afternoon, and literally I'd just finished my client, her hair was curled, it was like all finished, amazing, and I went to get my paper diary, this is why I hate paper diaries now probably, from the desk to get a next appointment in, and there was just this snap, like the loudest thing I've ever heard. I literally thought, because your brain obviously goes into some other kind of survival thing, and I literally thought there's an earthquake, like this is the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. But what I think it was a beam in the original ceiling had gone. The original ceiling fell onto the suspended ceiling, so that was like rubble, noise, and then eventually that gave way, and then just everything came down. So I was in the middle of the room. It was a Friday afternoon. We were like really busy. My next client was actually in her car outside, and she heard it and ran over, and it was just hideous. It was like probably the worst thing that's ever happened.
Was the outcome? Was there people
were okay? So physically, people were okay, just kind of a bit bashed up. When we came out, we were jet black. Like, we literally went to hospital and they were like, have you been in a fire? Because you were just black. When I turned around, my client was gone. Like, her chair was empty. And I was like, she's under there. Like, she's under that rubble. And I literally, like, I know her. And I was like, I'm going to have to ring her husband and tell her that, like, she's dead. And she said, mother of kids. And I was like, gee, that was like the first thing in my head. And then I was the only one who could get to the window because everyone else was, like, trapped under the door. And I still remember this, like, I put my hand on the door, PVC door, and I pulled it in, and it just didn't open. And I looked up, and there was ceiling, like, over the top of the door. So I was like, I need to get these people out, and I can't get these people out. So my next client, Rachel, had walked, like, ran through because she heard it. And she said, it was like watching Hollyoaks. You could see literally in this window what was going on, but you were just, like, helpless. So eventually I was like, can you ring, you need to ring the police or fire brigade or whoever. They came and smashed the doors, got everyone out, went to hospital. That was hideous. That was like the worst thing ever.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, really terrifying.
No wonder that you wanted to open up your own.
Oh yeah, like
be responsible for your own building.
Yeah, without a doubt. That was like I was asked if I wanted to go back and work there. I was like, respectfully, no, I'd rather not go. I mean, literally, I couldn't even drive past it. I've driven past it about 3 times in my life. Like, I was in like therapy afterwards, and my therapist was like, "Can you drive past it?" Just literally as part of like exposure therapy and all of this. Like, it does stuff to you to think you are about to die or people in your care are. So that was a big pivotal moment. That also, in the hindsight, made me think, you know, what... I know it's stupid because it's like life and death, but literally, like, my diary was in there, my consultation books were in there, all of my stuff was in there. So, like, in hindsight, once I was, like, better, I kind of reflected and thought, do you know what, there's an importance there of, like, systems, of having things online, of, like, how fragile a business is and what happens if there is, like, a big change. And obviously, we all got that, you know, in 2020. And maybe part of that is what drove me as well to be like, I need to help people protect their businesses and make sure that they're safe. Yeah. Love
that. It's funny, isn't it, that these key moments do seem, don't they? That obviously spark something for you, because it just shows how fragile, like literally, you said. Yeah. Everything can just change, and you know, it's so you became a salon owner.
Yeah.
Is this something that you continue for? Was that a success for you? Is it something that you've continued
to do? Dom, I've had many epic failures that I'm very happy to talk about. So the person who was in my chair at that point was someone who would then go on to be my business partner. So we opened a salon. We had renters. We had like a renter leave on the Saturday night at the end of November and say, see you all on Thursday, and then literally had left to open a salon and hadn't said anything. So I've had all that stuff. Had employees, had nightmare landlords. I've had a landlord try and sue us for £250,000 because we signed a lease on a premises, didn't end up moving into it, renovated it a bunch. There was a whole thing. They said they had planning permission, they didn't. Then the council were like, you need to put it all back. They refused to do that. We've invested a bunch of money. We tried to take them to small claims for 15 grand, and they went, you've signed a lease, you owe us 10 years worth of rent, which is £250,000. That was awful as well. So that the lesson in that is be really mindful with leases. Again, use your experts, go with solicitors. Also, that partnership did not end particularly well, so please get partnership agreements, or just don't go into them unless you absolutely have to. You can't manage it like on your own or with other experts. So yeah, I've had my fair share of like quite tough times, but you just learn from them, don't you? Like, I've always seen I just sort of think I can sit and wallow in it, and I do wallow, you know, a fair bit, but then I come out of it and go, what can I do?
I think many of us have been in that, and I think it's pretty... Well, I think it's an absolute amazement if you've gone through your whole career, whatever that be, being a salon owner or a hairdresser, without having difficult challenges. Yeah. And we said it earlier on, it's what shapes us and gives us our wisdom and knowledge to help share that to people through our own experiences. And I know I've had people come on the podcast, and partnerships, and again, we're not going to talk about partnerships here or lease agreements, but that's something that really comes over time and time and time again. Yeah. For many, sometimes salons that don't succeed, because I think we're maybe really keen to have a salon business, Maddie, that maybe we want to put our trust with somebody else who can help make this dream happen for us.
I think we're natural people pleasers. I think the reason we see a lot of the same stories playing out over and over again is because this industry attracts a very particular type of person for the most part. Someone who loves to make other people feel really good. Because that's what we do. We literally get paid to make people feel good about themselves. So then we kind of don't tend to have great boundaries, and we say yes to things. We don't say no to clients that we probably should say no to. We're quite excitable. We're creative. We don't want to sit and read a bloody lease agreement or go and speak to like a commercial solicitor. And we want to see good in people. So we think that everyone who wants anything to do with us is like an absolute blessing. And I think that is why we can end up in such hard times. And I think we don't tend to like confrontation. I know there's a lot of that. Well, we see it. We see people who are dealing, you know, not in a great way with like complaints, with clients who are treating them poorly, with issues with staff and, other people in the business and stuff. And yeah, I definitely think there's a type, like there's a real type, and sadly we can attract sometimes a bunch of like bad things or bad times.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that's so true. I've talked about that to many. We are naturally people pleasers. Maybe hairdressing isn't, or barbering isn't for you if you're not
literally,
a people pleaser, because you might be not sending people out. So your salon owner, been that experiences, but you can clearly see, and I've got to know you as the, is a coach the right word? Mentor?
Yeah, I kind of just flip between coach, mentor, educator, whatever nice title.
We'll wrap it all. But you
me.
are Maddi Cook.
Yeah, ultimately,
so you started Boss Your Salon Group in February 2018.
Yeah. So again, this was just not an intentional thing. Never in a million years did I think one day I'll stop hair. This will be my full-time job. My husband will be, working with me in the background. I just thought, if I'm being really honest, Dom, it was pure laziness. There was nothing else. Like, kind of a bit before that, in one of my salons, I got a leaflet through the door, which was just the EU very kindly are funding a bunch of business development courses. Come along to this course. It's over 2 weeks, like 2 different days a week apart. And I just saw free course. I thought, oh, that's very kind of them. So, and it was, I knew Brexit was around the corner. I thought, this is probably not going to last that long, so I'll make hay while the sun shines. And I went, and that was such an eye opener. Like, to learn what you don't know is a bit humbling, actually. And I thought I knew, a fair bit. And I went and I was like, Jesus, like, our industry, like, we don't get this stuff. We don't get this quite like high level strategic like growth. A lot of it's just how to do the day to day, the skills stuff, the kind of, I don't know, the immediate stuff, but I felt like there wasn't that much out there for like how to grow and just really strategically think about the business rather than being like in the like whirlwind of it day to day. And that just like lit something in me. I just was obsessed. I just was on every, like, devouring podcasts and books and everything, and I just wanted to like geek out about it. And because of that, purely for myself, like, I didn't think, oh, this is for anyone else. I thought this will just help me in my business. And I started finding that in groups, people were tagging me going, Maddie will know. Ask Maddie. Maddie will know the answer to this. I became like the kind of nerd. And it was just the same questions over and over again, same things over and over. I was answering the same questions in DMs, in groups, in different groups. I thought, what will make my life a bit easier? I'll just open a group. I'll just get my hair mates in, a few dozen people from other groups, and I'll just answer the questions there. And then I answer it once, everyone sees it. Isn't that an easy life? And that's how it began. I just started it, just never ever thinking this is what it was going to be. And that group is now at like 16,000 people, something like that.
Seriously insane, isn't it? But that's what I love about the industry. And as much as I love all the knowledgeable stuff that you wonderful guests share and helping people with where they may be at in their careers, I love the stories. That's why I really go into the stories. And I'm so passionate about people finding their different pathways and segues of niches into what they do, and that's clearly what's happened for you, isn't it? And you've built this brand. Is it Boss Your Salon? I mean, the boss is the kind of real sort of part of your brand.
Yeah, because it's not really salon, and like I get, I've got so many people who are not salon owners now. I have loads of freelancers, barbers. I mean, recently I got a bunch of dog groomers, which I'm not mad about. I would really thoroughly recommend following them for their content. Like, getting to see lovely dogs on my feed all day is like a blessing. I had,
but who knows where it could take you?
I had a message,
because you become an expert in this side of it, but then you can adapt it, I guess, to other different business and industries.
Yeah, and that'll be something that maybe comes next. I had a guy who's a car detailer. Was like, oh, I followed you for like 2 years, and you make a lot of sense to me. Can I come on your class? I was like, yeah, if it helps you, like, come on the class. So it's become much bigger than me. It's like it's all other beast kind of thing, and because I get a lot of craft people in product businesses, just generally people who kind of make stuff or trade their money for time, and creative people. I think it really speaks to them, because it turns out it's not us. It's not just in the UK. I've worked with people all over the world. Like, it is such a universal thought process, in particular with the pricing and the worth and the value, that kind of thing. That just seems to translate like right across the board.
So is this now your full-time life? Because I know you mentioned it earlier on, you retired from the world of hair extensions at the end of
October. Yes.
Did you crack open a champagne that you felt in a position in your moment in your life to be able to do that?
Well, I haven't drank for 2 years, but we did have a Prosecco and some donuts, which is very me.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
donuts,
beautiful.
Good.
Yeah, it was really weird because it's like so much of my identity is like wrapped up in Maddie who does hair, and my clients. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for better clients. Like, I think because my boundaries got much better by the end, I just didn't really work with people who were like a nightmare. So they were just lush. I'd seen them for years. One of my last clients I'd been doing it for like 8 years straight. So it was really bittersweet and saying goodbye to them. But then most of them have like messaged me since, and we're talking about what we're watching on Netflix. So the hairdresser crack continues beyond that relationship, which is really nice.
I bet they were devastated. I can hear them now going off to finding their new hairdresser.
That's the hardest bit.
My hairdresser has given up. And I know that new hairdresser is probably thinking, oh my goodness, I've got the pressure of trying to be like Maddie now. You know? Maddie used to do my hair this way. But that's a big moment for you. But I guess that's because you've taken what you do. You know, that is a very serious part of that's your business, and your husband's now part of it, Aidan. Shout out to Aidan. He came into that, and so you've been running various courses as well, haven't you? Sort of certainly on pricing education. Launched an inner group,
like a growth program thing, like a group growth thing. Loads of bits and bobs.
So are you in a good place with this then, Maddie? This is your life now?
Yeah, this is my life now, and it's we were laughing because I had my mum visiting from Spain for like 14 months, and there's a really funny thing with the work that I do now that like parents just have no idea what I do. Like trying to explain that me and my friends call it my mysterious internet job, and we just like take the mick out of that no one knows what I do outside of the industry. And I'm like,
that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? You're almost having to describe to people. So what do you do, Maddie? When you can say you're a hair professional, that's easy.
Like I have a salon. That's so much easier than going. So I'm on the internet and I do these things. So people know that I do classes. So my father-in-law will go, have you done any classes this week? And that's it. That's like the end of it. My dad actually watched me deliver one of my master classes because he was up visiting, and I said, I've got one to do if you want to leave. And he's like, no, I'll watch it. And he cast it onto the telly and he watched the chat and everything, and he was like just blown away. He was really, really chuffed to see it. He's very entrepreneurial as well, so he was like keen as being to watch that. But yeah, it's strange that this is now the full-time thing. I mean, it's not full-time. It's a very systems-based, like systems-driven business. Like I have to appear live quite a lot, so I do like live education, and
that's intense in itself, isn't it, Maddie? That's, you know, because quite often you've got to do this live stuff when everybody's about, and sometimes that could be at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, weekends. You know, this is it's a change of how you're probably used to going about your life.
I've got such good balance now, and like I do a lot of sea swimming. I've just moved to the coast, so we'll swim, we'll go, like everyone will come round for breakfast, and it's just such a nice way to be able to go, do you know what, I can do my work in whatever space that I need to. And obviously Aidan he'll watch the football, I'll do a bit of work then, I'll do a masterclass like on a Sunday, so it's really, really nice. I don't feel like there's always something to do, don't get us wrong, there's always work to be done, and I've always got ideas, and there's, like I was saying to you, I'd love to do a podcast one day, but it's just on my list of like, I'll get to it when I get to it. But I've really taken that pressure off. Like in the lockdown, that was really intense. Like that first bit, because
April to July.
That was really. I mean, that was the time when I literally begged it, and I was like, "You have to leave your job. Like I can't go back to hair and do this," because it was just super intense. But it was because of my role had become in the group, like relaying messages from government, which were pretty hideous and really confusing. And it got to the point where people were saying, oh, my husband just said to wait for Maddie's video, because I would do videos in the group like with a bit of a debrief of what the government, what the changes in guidelines were, and there were some amazing people in the group who were helping people get grants they needed. Emma Fowler did a load of good work with that, signposting people to the right place. So that was just, it was intense because I had like thousands of people kind of going, you know the answer to this. So, which was good. I enjoyed it. I got a lot from that, and obviously those people are now my customers, which is incredible. But that was just the most work I've probably ever done in my life, was in those few months.
Just feels a blur now, doesn't it, when you talk about that? And I'm sitting here as you're telling me, and so many great memories come back for me. I know that's, because our industry just all connected in a different way. But I think what I loved about it, Maddie, was what you're just saying about there was some really special people that stepped up and really helped get people over. Yeah, and I include yourself in that. And I think it gave people time to think and think about lots of things, and probably a lot of things was, I need to make my life better as a hairdresser. I think that was a real standout moment for many people, because they probably got to this point. I thought, I quite like this life of having freedom to go out for walks. There was no getting away. And I think all us hairdressers know that, and we should never feel guilty about admitting that. But I think what you're probably trying to do, and I think as an industry now, we're trying to make our industry better. And it is so struggling because there's so many battles going on within the industry. And I worry sometimes, is it about people getting a voice out there? But I think the big part of all this is the vast majority of hairdressers aren't connected into this world that me and you are in. But I think they are probably more connected in, and you know what I mean, they're the people on the high street, everyday hairdressers who are not into fellowships. And that's
kind of what I love, though. I love the day-to-day. I mean, there are some incredible hairdressers, it's amazing, some of the work that comes out. I mean, in your group as well, some of the work's absolutely mind-boggling. But the people that I just feel so drawn to are like the northerner single mum who's been hairdressing for 20 years, and I just like them. I just think, well, it's just me, isn't it? I'm northern, I'm like very much working class background. Like, those are the people that I just love, because they prop up our industry. Like, we wouldn't have all the good bits if it wasn't for all of those, like, at that very, that level.
So true, Maddie. So true. And I was talking to a leading PR I met up with, and we were talking about this, and I feel very connected to what you're saying about as well, because I'm a hairdresser, YTS, based Midlands, and just real hairdresser. I don't live in some fancy world of media darlings and that. It's just very real. So it connects with me. But what I love about people like you, Maddie, and there's people like Emma Fowler, and there's many people, but their groups are made up
just normal folk
of normal hairdressers who want to earn good money and enjoy what they do. They don't want awards, they don't want they just want to enjoy good money. And I think that probably is why they're drawn to you, because you are all about getting the right prices, and you spoke about it brilliantly earlier. And we do struggle to charge. And is there a bigger picture to this then? You touched upon it earlier. Why are we just still way too cheap for many in our industry?
I kind of think with pricing, there's probably like 80% of it's a mindset thing. The numbers thing isn't the hardest thing at all. Yeah, but to get to the point of looking at the numbers, you have to just overcome so many kind of limiting beliefs and things that are just purely in your head. So that I can tell you all of them, because I've heard all of them. It's the vast majority is, I'm going to lose my clients if I put my prices up.
that is number one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to lose my clients. Everyone's going to think I'm a dick. Like, people. Then there's like, what if people who I've worked with think that I don't deserve this? There's this like idea of, I am not worth these prices, as if like your self-worth as a human has anything to do with what you charge, because it doesn't. Like, you're a human, inherently you have worth. Like, the prices isn't a thing to do with that. But yeah, my clients are going to leave me, and that's why I share like constantly. And I've got loads. I've got about 100 I haven't even shared yet, which is just people going, oh, just want to get in touch with you, Maddie, and put my prices up by this much. I lost 5 clients, gained 50. I now make X amount of money. Like, I've got a lovely guy who's been on my class 5 times. Robert, he's wonderful. And he messaged me saying, I made in this year, in 16 weeks of the tax year, what I made in 2019. Like, the full year that wasn't even a pandemic.
Wow. And I guess they're small changes. It isn't rocket science, this, Maddie, but it's actually, it's probably a bit of a buzzword now, is imposter syndrome. Yeah, but just basically feeling insecure about yourself. But am I worth this? And it's that self-doubt. And I love what you said at the very early on at the podcast, where it's what people are telling us. I'm a mobile. I work in this environment, therefore I should be cheap.
It's like, no, you're mobile. So if someone comes to my house to do my hair, you've saved me an hour. You've saved me an hour that it takes me to drive to my salon. The hairdresser I go to, find a parking space, grab a coffee, which all costs me money. You come to me, in that hour I can make money. And in your hours you can make money, because your hairdressers or beauty therapists, whatever you do. So like, if I always say to mobile people, go for other business owners. Like, that should be your target audience, because they're the people who value that time and convenience. I love convenience. I love anything that can deliver to my door. Obsessed with like Uber Eats, Deliveroo, everything, like, because my time's dead precious. My time, I can put a value on that time, or I can just go and swim or go for a walk or whatever. So that's, and so if my hairdresser said, Maddie, I can come to you, but it's another 20 quid, I'd be like, yeah, champion, because I can make more than 20 quid in that hour. We need to just move away from it. But I always just think there's psychological reasons behind this. Like, if you're written to read the chimp paradox, it's like, explains this better than I ever can. But there's a survival part of your brain, which job it is to keep you alive. So anything that feels slightly uncomfortable, it goes, oh my God, this is like, reminds me of when a saber-toothed tiger was going to come and rip my head off like many thousands of years ago. And it just fills your brain full of like quite convincing reasons that are not based in fact at all, but they're very convincing, and they're in your own head, of why you shouldn't do that. So for us, like, the status quo, the done thing is keep your prices the same, everyone else is doing it. It is scary, it's unsettling to say, I'm going to be the most expensive in my city, or I'm going to charge more than the person renting the chair next to me, or I'm going to charge more than that business partner that I just left, or whatever, or I'm going to charge higher and I've only done this for a couple of years. So your brain will go mental. It'll just say, everyone's going to leave, everyone's going to hate you, who do you think you are, you don't deserve this, because it thinks that that's a life or death. That's what it is. Like, scientifically, that's all it actually is. And once you know that, that's why I really recommend reading that. I now know when my brain's doing that. So I know that if I'm like, I know part of my podcasting is me going, do we really want to do this? This feels a little bit like, we haven't done this before. This is a little bit scary. Luckily now I've got bags of evidence to say that doing live things is really easy and I enjoy it, and there's lots of value that can be given to people, and people really want to hear this kind of thing. But once you realise that it's just literally your brain trying to keep you alive, it actually becomes a lot easier. And you fact check it and you go, well, actually, the last time I did my price increase, like, no one said I was awful, and there was no angry mob, and everyone didn't leave, so maybe it'll be okay.
Well, and I can't believe that there's one person that listens to this, or there's one person in any of these groups that we talk about that actually says, did you come into hairdressing to be cheap?
No. And wouldn't you be devastated if someone said, if you overheard a conversation between two people and go, oh yeah, you got to go to Dom, yeah, Dom's amazing, oh yeah, why is he good, oh he's really cheap, I would be like devastated.
I've had that conversation so much. That'd be the biggest offence. That would be the biggest offence that I could think of. Somebody coming to you
purely
because you are cheap. But then we do this, Maddie, sometimes because, you know, Hair by Curls, strange name, Hair by Curls, but it come off the top of my head. Hair by Curls down the road is cheaper than us. So therefore, I'm worried that people are going to go to Hair by Curls because they're cheaper than me.
They're just not. So the thing that we have to learn to do, I think, as an industry that we're pretty rubbish at, is knowing what separates us, like knowing our USPs, and also communicating them. Like the amount of people who, on their social media, their caption will go, "Love this balayage for Sandra." Type yes if you love it or whatever. And I'm like, really, what are you giving in terms of value? Like, if your potential client sees that and goes, yes, that's a really lovely balayage, but why did she get that? Will that be okay for my hair? Oh, I've got curly hair, can I have this? Etc, etc, etc. You're not showing them the process, the why, what decision you made, how you're an expert, what you've recommended to them, what obstacles you have overcame, which you can do. It's free. You can write a caption. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. Like, I'm not saying go and spend tons on like PR or ads or whatever. Just change the way that you like present yourself in those spaces, like predominantly online, or if you have kind of real life paper marketing. And people just don't do that. And I'm like, you are losing clients to someone who probably isn't as good as you, or just doesn't have as many points of difference at you. They're just better at communicating that. So once you just make a few of those changes, that can be really life-changing. I'm not saying you need to get actually any better at what you do, or any better at customer service, because you probably got those nailed down. It's just how you package up that value. It's like mobile. Don't be like, oh, I just work mobile. Be like, I come to you. I'll save you driving into town and navigating that horrible one-way system and finding a parking space. Don't you worry about it. Do your thing. Be a mom or be an entrepreneur, whatever you do. I'll just literally slot into your life, really flexible. and that's it. It's like selling the sizzle, not the sausage.
I love that. I think that's good. You're providing the validation of what you're actually giving to somebody. And I always think you come to Dom not because he's cheap, but he's great value.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's a difference, isn't it? Great value to me could be, you're paying £500 for an hour with me.
But if that 500 quid makes me 50 grand, bloody hell, that's good value.
Yeah, but that great value is that you get this experience. Yeah. And so I always think, I guess, Maddie, what you're saying is, as an industry, and not talking just individually, because that could be rent-a-chair, could be your salon owner. It's about the experience that you're giving to that person, and that's how you get to know how much your worth is in value. Yeah, and because
I see people going, oh, well, I wouldn't pay that. And I'm like, yeah, like a brickie wouldn't pay another brickie to build a wall. Like, we kind of devalue it ourselves because we find it incredibly easy. But if lockdown taught us anything, it's that we're really irreplaceable. Our clients missed us more than anyone, or they made an absolute hash of trying to do their own hair or nails or barbering, God forbid. So there is something we do. There's so much magic in the work that we do. We just don't communicate it. Maybe we don't feel comfortable. Maybe we feel like we're bragging. But it's not even about going, I'm the best in this town. It's just we have free parking, we have online booking, we have beautiful fresh coffee and vegan options, and we're sustainable. Because to the right person who's really into that stuff, they'll go, oh wow, I'm vegan, so that really aligns with my values. Love fresh coffee, I'm going to go there. And I'm actually happy to pay a few quid extra for that. Simple as that.
Because every individual client has different wants and needs, and it's about tapping into that needs and then giving that value of what that person sees great value. As you just said, if you're at home and value to me is somebody coming to me, then that's got a high value on it. And I love that, and I think that's a great point. And as I say, you teach a lot of this, and I know you go much deeper into this, and we're going to give out all the links in the show notes to today's episode, howtocut.it/EP222. So we'll put the links in what Maddie will mention shortly as well. But there was something else to help people just to know what they should be charging. You have a theory around this, which is, am I right in saying that you've built a pricing calculator at the start of lockdown, which you've been made into an app?
So this started as a spreadsheet. I mean, God love people who were still using the spreadsheet, because bloody hell, it was a pain and it took ages, and it worked. It did the numbers okay, but luckily we had that made into a nice, easy to use app. But you put in. It asks a lot, because pricing is based on many, many, many different moving parts. But by the way, it doesn't ask where you are, doesn't ask if you're mobile, doesn't ask what Sue down the road charges, because none of those things actually matter. It asks the things that matter when it comes to working out a price, factors every little bit in, and then at the end of it, you literally build out your entire service menu. So it will tell you for half head foils on above shoulder length head, this is what you need to charge. And because the user puts in things like how many weeks holiday do they want to take, what do they want to put into savings and pension, what's your plans for training and education the next year, do you want a lunch break today, they know that by the time they get to that page, they go, if I don't charge this, like, I lose something. So they kind of, I kept getting that feedback from people. I didn't build it intentionally thinking about that, but people kept saying this is really eye-opening, because I now know what's gone into it. Because I could have just done a service where I said, give me a few £100 and I'll tell you what your prices need to be. But no one would charge them, because they wouldn't know how I got to them. It's really disempowering, which is like really against everything the way I teach. And they'd feel really ripped off, because I've just charged them £200-300 to tell them they need to charge higher, and then they don't want to. So that, and it showed them as well how like very little increases across the board have really big impacts. So for example, if they want to make another grand a year, it might only add on like say 50p or whatever to each service. So that makes them then push it and go, well, grand to me is a lot of money, 50p to a client isn't. But they see the other way around and they go, every time I've like not charged for that treatment, or that I chucked that Olaplex in, or I didn't charge for this, or I didn't put a cut in, they then realise like, this is real money, and this is me who loses out. So it kind of had that worked in kind of both ways.
Fantastic. And obviously it shows its value and worth in the industry. It was up for finals within the innovation of the year for the Creative Heads Awards, and it's helped huge amounts of people in the industry. Can people get hold of it? How do we get hold of this? And you want to be part of this?
So I'm sure you can pop the link in there, but It's bossyoursalon.com/bossyourprofits. And I've added a little wee code in for you. So if you put in HTCI for how to cut it, you'll get a free course which is called Boss Your Boundaries, which is all about deposits, how to take deposits, and how to write your policies in a way that protect you, charging people if they haven't come in, lateness, change of mind, all of the other scary stuff that we absolutely hate doing.
Brilliant. Okay, and we'll again put that in the show notes, so you've got that link and that code. Thank you, Maddie, for offering that as well for our listeners, and great opportunity. So, I mean, look, there is so much more there in charging properly. They want to go deeper, they can go deeper, but the effects of not charging properly can be devastating.
Yeah, literally, it's like we think our pricing is like a thing that is just like separate from us. It's on our website, it's on a bit of paper, but it's not, is it? Like when I charged badly, i.e. like not profitably, that was like my physical health, because I worked through, I didn't have a lunch, I didn't eat, I would eat like McDonald's at like 11 o'clock at night, I barely slept, I was lying in bed going, oh my god, I've got no money, my rent's coming out in a couple of days, that person just cancelled. I was probably hideous to be around, like I know I wasn't a nice, like good person to be around, and you don't feel like a good friend. I mean, I don't have kids, but I imagine the mum guilt is ramped up a million times when you're working constantly. And it's just, you slide into this desperation where you're like, I need the money so much, I'm going to work those extra days, I'm going to miss that thing I want to do with my mate, I'm going to take on that client who's like red flag city. And then we feel bad about ourselves because we compare and go, well, why is it okay for them, and how are they going on holiday for the 4th time, and they've got a little Timmy's nativity and I've missed it for the last 4 years. And that's it. It's just seeing that it's like, it's a real thing, like, and it does impact us. But on the flip side, when we get that right, all of that stuff comes into place, so we can build that freedom in, we can have that time, we can, you know, see our kids, be a good friend, and just have that mental space as well to work on the business growth, because no one I know who's not charging properly has any time at all to do the business stuff, and that's also dead important. Like, that's how you just end up, like you say, just living in that day, and then you look back and 10 years have gone past. You've not gone any further.
This is so important. This is what Maddie's sharing here is really important, I think, for actually moving our industry forward. This is as simple as this stuff that really will make a difference in attracting more people into the industry. Because, you know, we can moan about not bringing people in, but the actual realities of everything that we're talking about is actually being rewarded correctly. Because we can say all what we like, but people do want to be rewarded great and have a lifestyle that's going to suit them in the year 2021 going forward. And something else that I think is really important about our industry and making it more attractive is learning to say no. And you probably know where I'm going to go on this. It's about sort of just setting and enforcing boundaries that are going to be right for us as a salon. This came about, didn't it? Because you learned this from sort of talking to your 16,000 members, Maddie.
Yeah, so after I had quite a few people doing the pricing calculator, I then saw another problem, which was people were going, so I'm charging the prices, that's okay, but I can't say no to anyone, so it's brilliant because I'm making a bunch more money, so that softens the blow a little bit. But there's still, and I mean, God, the COVID cancellations, people are hemorrhaging like massive amounts of money. They don't, I put a poster on a little while ago that went a bit mad, and it was because I kept seeing people sharing this thing about the cost of cancellations, the cost of no-shows, and it gripes me a bit, because I'm like, you do know this is in your control. Like, how your clients treat you is entirely, you get to decide that. Like, you get to decide what's okay and what's not okay. And I think of boundaries as like hurdles. I actually want to put a whole bunch of hurdles between a client and me, because I want the ones to get over them to be like really, really good. And I'm not making it hard for them to book in. I love systems. I love making it easy in that respect. But like, I'm going to charge you a deposit every single time, whether I've seen you 100 times or once. If you don't come in, I'm going to charge you. If you come in and change your mind, I'm going to charge you. If you were booked in for a refit and then go, I just want a removal, I go, well, you paid me for a refit, so it's going to be X amount. Do you still want that, or do you want the removal? So I'm going to do that, and naturally that then attracted really good clients, like really, really good clients, and it also put off really bad ones, which is not a like terrible thing to happen at all. So rather than doing the like passag, like, oh, you know, clients shouldn't do this and clients shouldn't do this, because it also is very off-putting. Like, clients are going to read it and go, oh God, is that about me? I think it gets people's backs up. Just, you get to decide. Like, that's a really good thing about being self-employed, is you can set your prices, you can set your hours, you can choose what brands you want to work with, what days you open. That's a really nice thing about what we do, but we don't do it and then we kick off when that doesn't work. So just put a few things in place. Again, it doesn't make you like a tyrant, and the people that you do lose are just the people who would have trampled those anyway. So that's like, people who are happy to pay deposits are happy to pay deposits. Like, I've never met a person who's kicked off about a deposit who was going to pay it. Like, they're only kicking off because they never wanted to pay it in the first place.
I guess there are people that will say, oh gosh, I'm frightened. They may say, well, I'm not booking in if I'm going to take a deposit. Well,
yeah, good.
See, that shows their commitment to you, doesn't it? And again, it's all these layers that you keep sharing here that just makes me keep thinking, this is, if we all followed this as an industry, every single one of us followed these rules, it would get rid of the rubbish.
If it was normalised. Like, if if I went to book a holiday, British Airways are not going to turn around and go, oh, you've been on a few holidays with us, we trust you, don't pay a deposit this time. In fact, pay us after the holiday. I'm sure it'll be fine. You're good for the money.
We get over friendly with our clients.
Yeah, like there is a balance, and you can still, like, I have a mint relationship, like I say, even beyond working with my clients, but it's based first and foremost on respect, and they respect my time, because they don't get into my chair unless they do that. And I just see it as they're booking out my time. That's it. They're pre-booking that slot, so they pay in advance. And if they don't, I don't then go onto social media and go, oh, you know, my bills don't get paid, my mortgage doesn't get paid, like, because that's my fault. Like, the book stops with me. I mean, I know there's someone that I share in the Boundaries course, and I talk about her on my masterclass, called Benny. She's a nail tech in Australia. She has a debt collector. A nail tech with a debt collector, and at first I was like, what the hell? She's called Debbie the debt collector. She's apparently
I
very
hope she's
nice.
a glamorous
I imagine she is, in like a fur coat and everything. And she doesn't have to send that many people to Debbie, thankfully, because she has other steps in advance. But I see that and don't go, oh my God, I don't want anything to do with that. I find that intriguing. Like, as a potential client, I'd be like, you must be so good, you must be so in demand, that you've had to, like, really fiercely protect this time. Like, she only books a month in advance. She said, I don't want to be booked 6 months. She opens her books like 3 p.m. on the Sunday. The demand, it just completely shifts the business model. It's not I'm here when you need me, I'll be around, just give me a shout. It's if you want to get in my chair, like, you have to have your card there, you have to be logged in and ready. Honestly, wonderful. I love it. I love that.
That is just powerful. Someone else said about this, opening up their book for a month. That's all they do. And I really, again, that's something else that is, we don't know for goddamn reason what we're going to be doing in 2-3 months. And it's almost like you feel imprisoned to your book.
Yeah, it becomes like that's what she said the other day. I was chatting with her. She was like, it becomes like a jail, really. Because you can't plan anything. Like, if your friend gets married at last minute or wants to go on a trip away, you still say no to things. And I'm like, again, that's not really why I wanted to ever be in business. I wanted to say yes to stuff that, like, really lights me up, and also do my clients and stuff. But yeah, just the psychology of how that is with clients as well, and that kind of idea of demand. And all of her clients get in. She has like a split thing with like VIP, so they can book a few days before, which again makes them feel really good, and they're, you know, really quick to book in. So everyone gets the appointment that they want. It's just in a way that for her it creates so much more freedom, because she, before she uploads her, turns on a booking link, she's like, what do I want to do? I want that Saturday off. I want to do this, because it's only a month in advance. And like so many people, I think again it's this done thing, like we're obsessed with success being, I want a full book, I want to work 6 days a week, I want to have a 6-month waiting list. I'm like, that's hideous. Like, it's not nice.
Do you know, I saw that in a Facebook community. I asked people, are you busy right now? And there was so much pride in people saying, well, I'm fully booked right up to January. And thinking,
I don't want to.
Well, no, I love that. And I love a debt collector. Why not? What? Absolutely. go,
Yeah.
Debbie. I tell you, she sounds like a great person to chat to as well, does Debbie.
Get Debbie on.
Great stuff. Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's great, and I think there's just so many, as I knew it would be with you, Maddie, there's so many great takeaway bits and that you can take, and I'm sure that you so much more in what you can share in
be
and
hours
it's just
on end,
brilliant to listen to. I mean, we're touching so, but one thing that I do just sort of briefly want to finish on, and I think it's an empowering one again about our industry right now, and it's the proportion of certainly high profile women that we see in our industry, and I think that's really important, because I see people like you now who I kind of put into that. You know, we don't necessarily always think it has to be hairdressing award winners. There's great content creators, coaches, but you feel that there's maybe not enough representation of leading females in the industry.
So for me, this came into my mind a few years ago. I just got an email from NHBF with their industry statistics that they send out every year, and it said, I just remember it going into my head, it said of the hair, beauty and barbering, so in 2020 it was 88% of women. It was probably a little bit, I don't know if it was more or less when I saw it, and then weirdly the next day I got the programme through for Salon International, or Pro Hair, it was one of the hair shows, and I just flicked through it as I do. I get a hairdresser's journal, I read a lot of blogs, and I was looking through the names on the stage work, and I was like, it's not that many women, and it just kind of lived in my head for a bit. And then I thought, I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. When I get an idea, I'm like, this is my life now. And I thought, I need to just get out my industry. And I started asking like non-industry people. So I was like, Mum, tell me the most famous hairdressers you can think of. And she goes, Nikki Clark, John Frieda, Lee Stafford, Vidal Sassoon. And I was like, yeah, this is the thing. So I started talking about it recently on social media. I surveyed on my private Instagram, and I just said, non-hair people, tell me. And I swear to God, Dom, there was not one woman's name in at all. Now, I think within the industry, we see some amazing women hairdressers, but it still shows me there's this level, there's this like top bit that you can't get in a household name. It's very, very hard to do that. And I think, but where are we? Because we're 88% of like on the floor, like on that ground level. And it drives me absolutely mad. And I've had some really interesting conversations about it. A lot of men hairdressers, like quite prominent men hairdressers, have DM'd me and said, do you know what, this is really messed up, and I'm going to use my position to like hold the awards accountable and the shows accountable, and I'm going to say I don't want to be on this unless there's more representation, which is amazing. So if you're in that position, thanks for doing that. And I think people hadn't thought about it. Like, my DMs were going absolutely insane, where people were like, God, it's something that we don't think of, and I don't know why. I can't really understand why it is. I don't know if it's like a societal thing, like women tend to.
Do you know though, Maddie? And I think it's a really good point that you're making, and it's a point I actually agree with. But actually, on a positive side to this, I think it's changing, and I genuinely, I would like to ask probably the digital generation this same question. I think of an older guard, you're probably used to say all those names because they were on primetime TV. There's no doubt about it. Primetime TV made them all superstars. But actually now, if you look through, probably some of the most successful leading names in our industry of a new generation are females starting to come through. You know, look at Sophia Hilton, Harriet Stokes, Zoe Irwin, now British Hairdresser Award, 3 times winner of the British Hairdresser of the Year Awards. Sally Brooks. So there are things changing. There's a new breed.
There definitely is. But I think when my mum knows who Harriet is, or Sally, I'll be like, yeah, that's it. That's when it's.
But that's my point. But that,
or maybe not my mum.
Your mum is of a generation. So once we get, we need to. Yeah, I do, and I actually get really excited by certainly more female names in the industry, and I do truly believe it's getting there. I do. I want more females to bring onto the certainly onto the podcast. Yeah, 100%. So if you're listening to this, give me a reason too. As with Maddie's on here by right and through hard work, determination, and actually having a passion for what she does. And I'm so impressed by you, Maddie. I think everything that you've done, and you do it with such graciousness, and you have that northeastern part of England down to earth nature about you, and it's really endearing for me. And I think what you're sharing, I think you are a heartbeat to the hairdressers that don't want, as we said earlier, all that side. They just want to make their life good.
That's it. We're not going to be the
salute
Mayfair Belgravia gang, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. I'll
That's
have you all
great.
up here. We'll go swimming.
And why you're not in the NHBF?
Dom, oh my goodness. Well,
that's another
like
conversation.
I put in your group, I'm very glad I made it to number 7 in yours, and I was very sad to not see your name. I do feel like another internet rant's coming on, because I've had my beef with NHBF, and I think this is going to come back shortly.
We may have another conversation, but look, it's great. I know, and I think those that are really into the industry really know the real movers and shakers for me. People that are actually impacting people's lives, not for influencing them in any way, but they're offering great knowledge and their wisdom and their expertise in making lives easier. And people will say, look, I want to go deeper with Maddie on this, in terms of your courses and coaching. Again, please do just share with us where
absolutely.
we can go for this.
Yeah, of course. So Boss Your Salon on everything, on Facebook, on Instagram. Everything's in the bio link, or bossyoursalon.com. My DMs are very much open. I love a voice note. I love a very excitable message from people saying, oh my God, I've just had this happen and I've just charged a deposit. And I genuinely love it so much to hear all of that. So keep in touch for anything that you think after this. I really want to hear what people kind of make of this, and if anything's helped them in any way, that would be really cool.
Brilliant. Yeah, do reach out, get in touch with Maddie, and remember that code. What was it, Maddie?
So just HTCI, just in the little coupon box on Boss Your Profits, and it'll add on Boss Your Boundaries as an additional course.
Nice one. So I can't wait. Every podcast now that I'm going to do, I love a takeaway on a Saturday.
Oh, yes.
That's but I love a takeaway in this as well. So what's your big takeaway for us? Just wrapping all that up of what we've got today.
Just start questioning things and thinking, if where I've got to at the moment isn't where you want to be, it's because something that you're doing needs to change. And just be a bit disruptive. Just think, well, what if I did it differently? And what if I didn't think this? And what if I didn't listen to someone saying there's a going rate? And just be a little rebel and see what happens. Because it's really not that scary, I promise you.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Maddie. I've really enjoyed your company today. And thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'll see you in real life, and you can see all 6 foot of me with me good back and everything else.
I've got that 1 inch over you, so I'm all right.
I'll not wear me Crocs.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dom.